And here we go, the boats now. We are in the 20-second countdown range. They're making their way toward the start line. And the key is to get there absolutely just a tick before that time runs out, so you don't jump the start. Very even across all the lanes here. Little bit of an advantage there. Off to the side, let's see, that looked like it was a good run by Sergio Perez race team and Vicky Peria. Let's see how this plays out. And we're racing, Shirley. This is the place race as Team Rafa in the hands of Chris Lazaraga right now, working that outside, but she's got a little bit of that long nose on this race bird ahead.
Yeah, Chris Lazaraga made a beautiful start. Not easy in that position, particularly with 4 boats. The first time we've seen it, but just enough room to get lovely, clean entry into that big turn. Also, Oban Duncan on the inside had pole position and really maximized her start there. Lovely job.
Look at this. They are as close as we have seen side by side. Oban using that inside lane. But look at Lazaraga. For just a second, it looked like she was going to try and cross over and try and cut underneath. But Oban using that inside line and to good effect here. And look at, they just cannot stay up on the foil very well here because of the chop. But more than anybody else right now, you can see everybody almost boosting at this stage, and Oban Duncan keeping that more steady than most anybody out there right now.
Oban Duncan renowned for her smoothness, and that is the leg where you have to absolutely maximize the speed and use the boost to really good effect.
And remember here, you also, in one of these laps, you cannot do it on the start, but on one of the laps, you do have to do the long lap run, which is about 15 to 20 seconds. It's all been really depending on what the water conditions were at that time. And so here we go. That is around the north hairpin, and they are starting that run now right back. This is absolutely fascinating stuff. The margin between Lazaraga and Duncan, 2.6 seconds right now, and everybody else staying very, very close. This group is packed up, and of course for those 2 race birds in behind, look at that move by Duncan, coming up, boosting up on the outside, but now here comes Lazaraga up on the boost as well. But for those 2 race birds behind, there's nowhere for them to go. They're just stuck in this chop, aren't they?
Lots of learning from yesterday. That's my first impression, that it all looks a lot smoother, less, porpoising than we saw before, much more in their comfort zones than they were yesterday. Pretty impressive how steeply these pilots learn.
Boy, you can see right there how Lazaraga, she opened it up big time and got out of the wake of Oban Duncan and then tried to square up and get underneath. That inside lane is so valuable. That's priceless real estate for racing here, and she just could not quite get it done, but doing everything she can. But Oban looking really, really good through that south triple apex corner and has opened that margin up to 3.3 seconds. But now we see Lazaraga up on the boost right now. But I'll tell you, if you're boosting, and oh, look at this run coming here for Saud Ahmed. He really timed that to perfection, and he is right up alongside now. Lazaraga, let's see what happens. It is side by side. Lazaraga, the nose ahead here at this stage, but Saud doing a beautiful job, and that should set him up if he can stay there for that inside lane. Not sure if he's going to make it stick here. Let's watch what Chris does here, Shirley.
So critical, the strategy of using that boost. You have it for 20 seconds, and then it takes another 40 seconds to recharge.
Oh, and Lazaraga has opted to go for that long lap. And not a bad idea, because that might give her a little bit less wake to be running through, and then she could maybe use some speed here right now. But in yesterday's racing, we did see Saud Ahmed late in these races make up some pretty significant time. Let's see if he's going to be able to duplicate that. Right now, he's about 5.5 seconds adrift of leader Duncan.
Yeah, yesterday he was a slow starter, but always came through in the end. And as we saw, he really loves these conditions. He's used to really full-on jet ski racing. 9 times Saudi Arabian jet ski champion and a powerboat racer. It's completely in his comfort zone.
Well, he is closing it up, isn't he? That margin now is coming down just a little bit more. It is, ooh, and a huge crunch right there for Oban Duncan.
You really, as a pilot, need to start anticipating that, maybe throttling back a little. I mean, those are so costly in terms of speed and height and flight, but also they're hard on the machine, you know, they're big knocks for the boat.
And there you can see up front, Oban Duncan still up by 4.4 seconds. But Chris Lizarraga, even with her long lap, she has just been able to stay in front of Vicky Piria. And those two are racing furiously. But of course, now we'll see what happens. Only Oban and Saud Ahmed have not done their long laps. That is yet to come. Duncan setting fastest lap now at a 1:55.616. But Ahmed not that far off and is doing a really nice job. Look at this battle side by side. The margin under 2 seconds for Team Checo and Vicky Piria attacking Chris Lizarraga and Team Rafa. This is as close as we've seen.
They're great shots, boat on boat. You're seeing the shots from the camera on board looking back. That's how close they are. It's full on.
And of course, you have to be a little bit mindful of the simple fact that you get really close, you catch a wave wrong, you catch a little swell, that boat just shifts sideways. And Piria is getting the nose inside now. But look at Lizarraga again. She has practiced that over-under move a couple of times. And it looks like she didn't get it as quite as sturdy as she wanted, and she has dropped just a little bit behind now as we are on our last lap of this 4-lap. So Oban Duncan has to do that long lap run, and here comes Lizarraga on the boost. But Duncan right now, it's 15 seconds her margin over Ahmed. That's about how long this long lap is. At the merge, surely we could have 2 side-by-side battles.
We've seen the boats leaping out the water, and actually you can see the props out. They've got to be so careful with that. You really want to keep the prop in the water or get all kinds of issues.
Yeah, there's a safety mechanism that's built into the electronics. If the prop has a massive sudden over rev, which it can do coming out of the water like that, it can actually shut the motor down briefly. And so you've got to just be mindful of that. If you sense a huge wave coming, you almost have to just lift off the throttle right as you crest the wave to keep that over rev from happening on the prop. I am fascinated to see Oban Duncan now has opened up another second. This is so crucial, and she has to do that long lap, and she now has maybe a second margin. But again, Shirley, we saw yesterday that long lap, it could go up by as much as 4 or 5 seconds, depending on how choppy the water was. And she is in it now. And here comes Saud Ahmed. And we're going to see what happens when they come together. That's the merge. And it is going to be close. Look at Oban really trying to shorten that run up. And she is squared it up, going to the hammer. Here comes Saud. He is pretty close. The margin is 1.1 seconds. And let's see what's going to happen here. It is going to be a boost run. And it looks as though Oban Duncan has enough in hand to be able to put this one away. She does. Oban Duncan gets the win in the place race for Team Drogba. An inspired run by Saud Ahmed for Aoki Racing into second. And then we are going to wait just a minute here and see who wins this battle for third. It is Vicky Piria able to outduel Chris Lizarraga. Checo Racing over Team Rafa. Wow, what a battle that was. It was fantastic to have the two boats battling for that third and fourth spot side by side, and then watching Ahmed just being able to get enough speed to make it a real duel to the line. But Oban Duncan, we've talked about her being that young phenom, and she proved it once again.
Yeah, I mean, she was disappointed yesterday not to make the final, but fantastic. I mean, really came out and showed some incredible form.
Yeah, truly did. And so here's the result. You can see Aoki Racing ending up with a solid run into second, Checo in third, and Rafa in that fourth spot. But Oban Duncan for Team Drogba. You can see the crew really excited. And keep in mind, we talked about it, they are racing for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place points here. And that 5th place in terms of the points here is going to propel them, I think, a little bit in front at this stage of the Team Rafa entry. They weren't separated by much, so this is going to be really, really close. But now let's see if we can check in with Oban Duncan in that Team Drogba boat. Shirley?